Uh, so this video I created is for automation testing real-time interview questions on OOPS, like OOPS, object-oriented programming questions. So interviewers will not ask directly. So saying what is abstraction, what is polymorphism, what is inheritance. So these are like these questions they ask for juniors like with a 1-2 years of experience into automation testing. But when it comes to experienced guys, the question will change. Like so interviewers can ask like how you relate these OOPS object oriented features with your application, how you implemented. So when people ask that, you have to explain each feature, the main objective, then how you implement it in your project. So let's go one by one here. The first one is before going to that, how question will be asked, can you explain how and where OOPS concepts are applied or implemented in your project? Yeah, this is the question people will ask. So first one is the abstraction. You know, right, what is abstraction is? Abstraction is a concept of hiding implementation details and showing functionality to the user is called abstraction. Other way, we can also say abstraction is a way of hiding non-essential information and displaying essential information to the user is called abstraction. Means here we are hiding the data which is not required actually. So this feature of Java, how we are applied, how we are implementing in our automation framework, like if we take latest framework BDD, how we are implementing it, how we can compare this feature with our application, how we implemented is so if we take BDD, behavioral driven development. So here you know, right, we will be having in BDD, we will be having feature file, we'll be having step definition file, we will be having runner file. In feature file we'll be having high levels, we'll be having scenarios. Scenarios will be developing in a Gherkin language. So Gherkin language is a language, it's a simple text language. By using it we can define a functional flow of an application. And step definition file is a file where we'll be having a actual code implementation for the feature steps defined in the feature file. So feature file will be having a steps. Steps, like steps means, so in a functional flow, for example, if we take a login functionality, and in that there is a scenario login, if we consider, so we'll be having a steps called login to the application. So how will be logging to the application? Entering username, entering password, and clicking on the login button, right? So here in feature file we'll be having like three what we can say, given, when, then keywords. So here given is for specifying a condition. So what is the condition to login? Login page should be displayed. There only we can enter login username and password and click on login button, right? So that is the condition. So that condition we can write it in a given. So next go for when. So what is when? So whatever operations you do on the page will come under when. So in when, what you will be writing? Entering username and entering password and clicking on the login button. These are the operations that we have to define in when. Next is then. What is then? So whatever expected result, that we will be writing under a then keyword. So this is how the scenario will be defined in BDD framework in a step-by-step manner. So by seeing this, so even business analyst can understand how the features are written, what is the flow of an application. This is for easy understanding and easy maintenance. Easy and reusability will be there, and maintenance will be there, understandability will be there, everything. These are all the advantages of BDD framework. So I should not deviate this topic. Let's stop there. And then so this is one example for the BDD. Right here, what I said, feature file will be having the scenarios. Here I took an example of login. So as authenticate, here this is the description of login. So as authenticated user want to test the login functionality. So here background, so this background keyword, like, so if the steps are repeated, so in all the scenarios, for example in login scenario, if we are having multiple scenarios, 5 to 10 scenarios are there. In all the 5 to 10 scenarios, we'll be having common steps. Login page should be there, and user should be authenticated, and there should be a sign in button. For example, these kind of prerequisites are these are the steps which should be performed for each scenario, so that we can club and keep it in a background. So if we are writing in this way, you no need to write again and again in each scenario. And next, go to regression suite. See, for example, if you are having 100 if you are having 1000 test cases in your project, so whenever there is a build, if there is a build, so if you want to run the regression suite, how you will run the regression suite? So here no need to create separate suite for it. So wherever you are mentioning the scenario, this tag name you can directly give as a regression suite. So whichever scenario you feel that should come under regression suite, you can give with the this annotation. Then so when you run regression suite by giving in tags in a runner file, so this test will be automatically executed. So here you see the scenario, verification of login functionality given. I said it is a like condition, user on the login page, when user enters username and password and click on, so and but will be there. So that is added later. So and is to club positive scenarios, and but is used to club the negative step. Okay, to add a negative step. Then is the expected. So when is the operation, you are entering username and password. So this is how we will define. So for each step you will be having a code implementation in the step definition file that you are not seeing over here, but when you are running this scenario, so it will get each and every method mapped to this gets called and executed backend, and it will give the results. So this is a way of abstraction. So this is a way of hiding the unwanted information to the user. So what is so and showing the functionality to the user. That is the main objective of the abstraction. So that we how we are approaching in a Cucumber or BDD framework is, this is how, sorry, this is how we are approaching. And this is the example we can give it for abstraction. So hope you understood. And let's go to POM, page object model. This is another framework. This is a BDD framework. And page object model, you already know, I no need to brush it again. Page object model, here every page in application will be having a respective class. in a respective class will be having all the variables of that page, all the objects of that page will be defined, all the methods which are related to that page will be defined in a class. So here when we are here the objects we are giving at the rate find by is equals to id is equals to username and web element and username, and these are the variables, these are the objects, and this is the method. So this is related to login. So what operation we are performing, what functionality we are performing on login page is login, username and password. We're entering the username, entering the password, and clicking on login button. So this is a method and these are the objects. So these are this is one class and this is for login page. So so in the test case you will not be seeing how the object is identified, how the method is implemented. So this will be hidden to the user when you are running the test case. When you are developing the test case, you can directly use username. So when you are want to call the method, you can directly call dot login, creating object, and dot login will call this functionality and it gets executed. So here we are hiding these objects, how it is captured, how it is identified, and how the functionality is implemented we are hiding, and we are only calling these objects and methods. So in the test cases, this is the way of abstraction. This is where we are hiding the information, unwanted information, unessential information. So let's go to the next feature, that is encapsulation. So basically what is encapsulation in Java, that we have to tell to the interviewer. It's a mechanism of binding code and data together in a single unit is called encapsulation. And other way how you can tell it, it's a concept of wrapping up of data members and member functions in a single unit. So here unit is like class. In class will be defining data variables, and code is methods. Okay, these two things we are wrapping into a single unit is class. So class is a example for encapsulation directly. So if you go a bit deeper in encapsulation is for protecting security to the data. Here will be the variables will be defined as private. Okay, so these will be called with a setter getter, will be accessed with the setter getter methods. So if you go a bit deep, so in if you take a POM, page object model, just we discussed. So how the classes will be defined, means again let me recall it. So every page, for example, if in your application there will be login page, there will be home page, there will be registration page, there will be a profile page, there will be something. So for each and every page you will be having a class. So for let's take login, you will be having login class. Let's take registration, you will be having registration class. So for each class you will be, for each page you will be having a class. For each class you will be defining objects, elements on that particular page, and methods related or functionalities related to that page you will be defining in a single unit. So this is how we are achieving encapsulation in your project. And let's go to inheritance. So what is inheritance? It's a concept of inheriting features. Features means data and code, right? So data is variables and code is methods of one class into other class. So why we should do this? To avoid repeatability, to reduce the duplicate code. So we have to inherit, we have to we have to inherit these features from one class to other class. So this is a mechanism to inherit features of parent class to subclass. So are inheriting features from one class to other class. How we are utilizing this concept in our automation project is by creating a base class and defining or initializing WebDriver
It's
interface.
3:30.
WebDriver interface or wait reports, maybe it be it reports, be it login logs, be it WebDriver interface. So whatever it is, so these which are common methods, which are common to all the code drivers, you no need to define again and again. You can keep it in a base class. Reports, so the base implementation, you no need to creating file, so creating some kind of methods, how the format should come, how so when there is a fail, what should happen, when there is a pass, what should happen. So all these predefined methods, you no need to implement again and again. You can keep it in base class and you can inherit, you can access from the base class. So this is how you can achieve inheritance in your application. So the fourth one is polymorphism. It's a mechanism to perform single action or task into multiple ways, is called polymorphism. So one here will be having two types. One is method overloading and other one is method overriding. So what is method overloading and what is method overriding, will be seeing here. So method overloading is a concept in which multiple methods having the same name but different arguments count or different arguments type or order of arguments is a matter when you are utilizing a method overloading concept. So here if you take some example, some functionality, some method example. So sum, if you are summing two variables a comma b, so there will be a function called sum. And if you want to add multiple if you want to add three numbers, the same method cannot be executed because we are passing three arguments here, a b c. So so the method name is same but number of arguments is different. So that this is the example of method overloading. And in our project, in automation project, like we can see where this overloading is applied in a predefined methods or methods which are from Selenium, right? So this you have not, we have not, these are not user defined, this is built-in functions, right? So driver dot manage dot timeouts dot implicit wait, here 10 comma time units in seconds. So here we have two arguments. The one is so how many seconds this there should be a pass to access a object. Okay, sorry, how many seconds script should be passed, not passed, to wait until how many seconds. How I can tell in other way. So this is like script will wait for object max 10 seconds. So if it is not appeared or if it is not visible by that time, it will fail. If it comes by 2 seconds, it will not wait for rest 8 seconds. and this is we are passing the units like seconds or minutes or hours or something like that we can pass. This is one method, that is implicit wait. Implicit wait. So this how this method is overloaded. If you see here, seconds, right, this is minutes, time unit in minutes. So this wait in seconds, 10 seconds, this is wait for 10 minutes. This is how we can give this is the example for method overloading. So this is not only the one, we have many inbuilt methods of Selenium. We can give an example for method overloading. If we take wait, so here expected conditions dot alert is present. Wait is equals WebDriver wait is equals new WebDriver wait of driver comma 30 seconds 30. So here wait dot until, so we will be having different methods. Expected conditions dot alert present dot element to be clickable. So we have more than 15 methods, so which can be used to wait until expected conditions. So here we have written alert. The alert is present, right? So we have different methods which I just told. Will be having more than 10 methods. So you can replace that element to be what is that, alert is present. You can replace that with element to be clickable. You can use any type of method. So when you are changing this method, the same wait will perform in a different way. It will not perform different way, but so the approach is same, but the way it is implemented will be will vary, right? So here we are waiting till alert present. Here we are the approach is same, but we are performing this for different objects, right? Element to be clickable. So this is how we are achieving a method overloading. And so this is like a Selenium method example, and I just I have one more from Selenium, like actions class. So actions dot we can create a action act object and click. So you are not passing any parameter here, argument here, but with the parameter also you can so overload this and click and hold. You are not passing any argument here, you are passing web element as a argument. This is how you can overload. This is another example for overloading. And assert also there, assert true. You can pass argument like boolean type like argument, whether it is true or not. So this how you are overloading. So you can pass the condition like true or false, like in an it's a condition, like you can pass two parameters and you check not two parameters, sorry, equals. You can give a operation over here, string 1 dot equals of string 2. So if that gets that returns true, it will be it will be pass, means assert true will be successful, else fail, right? So here you can pass one more argument as message. So whenever it is assert true, returns it executes successfully, what kind of message you should we should give. For example, login is successful and you are finding a element, right? What element? So welcome something, some applications, once you log in you can see the welcome object. So your element that you are checking whether the element is present or not. If element is present, so it will give true. So when in that scenario, in that situation, you are giving message, so login is successful. So that is the other example. And if we are talking about application wise, functionality wise, so you can also, like, you can just think, so which you can explain as an example for it. So I just wanted to give one example from credit card payment application. So for example, if we have an application or platform where customer can see see his bill, and where he can pay the bill, how much it is generated in a three different ways. So he can pay the bill partially, he can pay the bill full amount, he can pay that in a recurring mode, right? So we'll be having a three different way of payments, payment modes, right? So this is if we are passing argument as partial payment, so we can we'll be having in our test case, like it should select, for example, if there is a drop down when you are posting a partial payment, when you are posting a full payment, when you are posting a recurring payment, that drop down should allow us to pay the related pay through related mode. So our functionality in our application, like, will be so according to that, when user selects partial, so it will go to the drop down and select the partial payment mode from the drop down, and it will give the amount, and it will done. So the payment will be gets posted when we are selecting the recurring, and it will select the recurring payment option from the drop down. And so this is the way how we implement, how we develop the test case in a not test case, how we implemented application utilities. So these utilities, where and when we want, we can directly call, we no need to write all the time, right? So here the payment posting is a common functionality, but by when you pass partial payment, when you pass the full payment, when you pass recurring, so it will behave in a three different ways, but the final objective is posting a payment. This is one example. So same functions, payment posting is one function, but we'll be having for three different options, we'll be having three different methods with a common name, payment posting, with a different arguments. So this is, we can give one example for the method overloading in our application. So this I have given one example, and you can correlate this concept with your application, and when interviewers ask, you can tell this, or you can take this same scenario and you can explain to interviewer, it will be fine. So method overriding, what is method overriding concept? This is a concept in which multiple methods having a same name and a same with the same signature. When I say same signature, so method name should be same, number of arguments should be same, the arguments having data type should be same, so everything, so whatever will be having everything, return type, method name, arguments, so everything should be same. So that kind of mechanism is called method overriding. Example for this overriding in our automation framework, or in your automation framework, how what we can take, or so here I have given one example. So it's from banking application, banks. So for example, if you have a bank, So there if we take loan as a scenario, here loans there will be different loans, right? Home loan, and this one, personal loan, and some other loans, right? So but the personal loans or home loans, these will be having some basic rate of interest. All banks will be having, or specific to banks also, right? This interest rate, so that is basic and common, every time that will be there. But sometimes, so for example, if you take it's a January to March period, or February to March period, that is the end of the year. So what banks will offer to customer is, so we'll be giving less rate of interest, and you can, if you are interested, you can take the loan. So the base functionality of loan, like it will be developed with some interest, and for some period, like if there is a new year or offer, or it is a end of the year offer or something like that, so that time interest rates gets changed. So I will be here I will be having one method with one basic common interest rate in the parent class, and in the sub class I will be having the same method without modifying anything, but there interest rate I will be giving bit less. So whenever this specific period comes, so there will be a overridden method for that method, like so for that specific period. So instead of executing the basic method, we can access the method declared in a child class, and we can use it. This is the example for overriding, and you can explain if you have a banking application domain. If you worked in banking domain, you can explain this, or you can correlate with any other functionality in your application and tell. So yeah, so I guess this is yeah, it's end. Like I have created a duplicate copy of it, I guess. Yeah, it is done. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. So hope this will help you, to explain like how you implemented, applied oops with your application. Hope I guess it will help you, and thank you so much for your time.